Hello and welcome. This is the Market Wrap on BloombergQuint Live. Let's take a look at how markets have fared today and what they have done through the course of the week. It has been a historical day of sorts, considering we have seen strength, and in fact the benchmarks hit new lifetime highs in the course of the week. But I'm going to talk about today, and well, perhaps on expected lines, there was subdued movement, consolidation coming through with marginal greens coming in as far as the indices go. But we did have substantial gains in the likes of Nestle, Titan, Tata Steel, and well, to talk about Nestle and Titan along with Ultratech Cement specifically, they will be a part of the Sensex soon. Of course, on the losing end, we also saw Vedanta, Kotak Mahindra Bank and Tata Motors declining in trade. So we'll be watching out for how things pan out as we move in next week as far as the large caps go. But let's talk about the mid caps too. What have they done in today's day of trade? And again, when the mid cap index was largely flattish, but we did see good gains in Indiabulls Ventures, Union Bank of India, Torrent Power, all advancing. And of course, on the losing end, we have Future Consumer. There's a lot of concerns with respect to the Future Group in general, and that has been evident in a lot of broking notes lately as well, where we do have some pressure there. There's the case for Aditya Birla Fashion and Bank of India as well. But let's move on to talk about what these markets have done through the course of the week. What stands out and how have things panned out? Because like I said, we did see at least the benchmarks move on to into uncharted territory, and that is always a positive. Yes Bank, Tata Steel, Bharti Airtel, Nestle India, all big contributors to this rally. And of course, on the losing end, we don't have too much in terms of momentum towards the losers, and perhaps on expected lines, considering we are looking at indices at life highs. But let's talk about the mid cap index too and see where we're seeing big movers come through. And again, there we do have the likes of prestigious stays, Indiabulls Ventures, Max Financial Services, looking at a good up move there. We must mention here that while the indices did do very well, that is, the benchmarks did do very well, the broader market indices have fallen behind. Their performance has been lackluster, which is evident in just a 0.4% gain through the course of the week for the mid cap index, as against 1.2% gain for the Nifty and the Sensex. And of course, again, the usual suspects here: Future Consumer, Mangalore Refinery and Indian Bank coming off. Now, this is as far as markets and what they have done. But let's talk about all those events that have shaped up markets. And I'm going to start off with December 16th, where the central government released 35,298 odd crores on Monday as GST compensation to states and union territories. And the center had not paid GST compensation to states since August. On Tuesday, state-owned NBC bid to acquire JP Infratech under the insolvency process, and this resolution will provide a big relief to over 20,000 home buyers who are stuck in various housing projects launched by JP Infratech. Also on Tuesday, a big relief for the incumbent telecom operators came in. The TRAI deferred the zero IUC regime till next year. And of course, let's not forget, we also had Hindustan Unilever's global parent, Unilever, where we had some concerns being raised by the CEO, Alan Jope, who cut the growth forecast for the first half of 2020 to 3%. And one of the main factors out there was the attribution with respect to slowdown in South Asia. And of course, India is one of the largest markets there. But moving on Wednesday, National Company Law Appellate Tribunal ruled the dismissal of Cyrus Mistry as the chairman of Tata Sons is illegal. And the NCLAT also set aside the change of Tata Sons from public to private. This was perhaps the biggest in terms of corporate news that we had this week. And we're going to have to keep a keen eye on what is going to eventually happen of the Tata Group. But moving on, coming down to Patanjali, Yoga Guru Ramdev, Patanjali Ayurveda completed its first acquisition by paying around 4,350 odd crores to take over Ruchi Soya through the insolvency process. And IMF chief economist Geeta Gopinath told BloombergQuint that the IMF will revise estimates for India's economic growth, but this will be coming in January, so we'll be watching out for that as well. And with respect to the presidency in the United States, the US House of Representatives on Wednesday impeached President Donald Trump for the abuse of power and obstruction of the Congress, making him the third president in history to be charged with committing high crimes and misdemeanors, and of course faces removal by the Senate. The RBI announced a simultaneous sale and purchase of government bonds under the open market operations mechanism on the lines of the Operation Twist that was last adopted by the US Federal Reserve in 2013. And this plan is being set to manage yields and will be conducted on December 23rd next week. Now, this week also witnessed countrywide protests against the Citizenship Amendment Act and the proposed National Register of Citizens. While some protests were peaceful, some took a violent turn involving the use of water cannons and tear gas canisters by the police and the paramilitary forces in order to maintain law and order. Now, these were just some of the major events that did line up and will have shaped to a certain extent the way markets did pan through. But let's talk about very quickly the levels which we can keep an eye on, at least as far as the indices are concerned, based on the options data it is throwing. And do remember that we did see a lot of buying coming through as far as futures are concerned, even though the activity was subdued in terms of open interest change. But when it comes to open interest in options right now, we're starting to see, along with the 12,000 put, a little more accumulation around the 12,200 put, which, well, begs the question whether or not we actually are expecting the Nifty to expire around and above the 12,200 mark, considering we are heading into the final expiry of this year, and because we have a lot of accumulation around the 12,200 put. Naturally, a lot of traders will be taking advantage of selling the 11,800 put in order to make whatever they can with respect to the premiums, eating up of those premiums. So that, of course, is the other factor that we need to watch out for. But we are heading into, well, a holiday season, and there is an expectation, as we always do, that trading is going to reduce, considering we are, well, heading into, well, a break of sorts. Of course, Indian markets will be open for a majority of the days, but we are expecting subdued participation from FIIs, specifically in this case. DIIs, on the other hand, may also be, well, the participation may also be lackluster. So we'll be watching out for some of these cues as we move into trade next week. But on that note, it's a wrap on the markets, but there is lots more lined up. Stay tuned to BloombergQuint and we'll keep bringing you more.